Boom. Let's go fishing, huh? We're going to go fishing in the winter. Hey, Chich.
What's up, Calvin?
How's your weekend so far?
So far, so good.
I just had the most fun of my entire life. I'm kind of sweaty. I just went... Have you heard of this thing called Daybreaker?
Mm-mm.
It was out in Brooklyn, and one of my friends, shout out to Amanda. I have so many Amandas in my life, by the way. I feel like the universe is trolling me. Like, I know so many Amandas. It's so weird.
I don't know any Amandas.
Like, if I look all the girls I've ever hooked up with, the name that shows up the most is Amanda. It's so
Amanda.
weird. Yeah.
So if you see an Amanda on a dating app, is
Like,
it like
it's just,
this will probably
but
work?
non-dating too. Like, this friend is a non-dating. Like, there's several platonic Amandas in my life too. It's strange. It was a blast. Something that I've been getting into more, just for the fun of it, is just dancing. You may or may not know this, but where I come from, there is no dancing. There's no dancing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so it was a lot of fun just getting into the groove and the body and stuff like that. So what do we have here? Why don't you explain?
This bucket is our conversation bucket. So inside are questions and prompts that we're going to be talking about, discussing, depending on whatever comes out of this.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're going to be fishing out.
The
whole podcast is in this bucket
they're
right
like
now.
stuck together too.
So you have to answer that whole question all together.
Okay, reach in there and just
Okay.
grab the first prompt. Let's see what we got.
Okay.
See what we got.
Imposter syndrome.
Ooh. Pause. I know you're enjoying the questions that we're doing here, but if you could do me a huge favor, please please subscribe, because it lets the algorithm know that this is what more people should see. So please do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and I would also love to hear your feedback. I'll talk more about this at the end. We're going to be in the comments at the end when this video is done. So please please subscribe. Now let's get back into the episode. Quick pause here. Did you know that I speak at conferences and corporate events? It's true. If you are hosting an event and you need a speaker on mindset, resilience, or what it feels like to be a fish out of water, then I know a guy. And I might be a little bit biased, but based on previous reviews of other events I've gone to, this particular gentleman not only says things that are real and actionable that people can take away and feel motivated and make a difference in their lives, he's also not that boring. At least that's what I hear. Who's the guy? Well, of course, it's me, the guy with 44 siblings. So if you would like to see about me coming to speak at your event, then completely for free, you can request a speaking request kit at calvinwayman.com/speak. That's calvinwayman.com/speak. And who knows, together maybe we can make the best event in the entire world. So what do you have to lose? Doesn't cost anything to get the media kit. So let's see if it's a fit. Go to calvinwayman.com/speak.
Imposter syndrome.
Ooh. Okay.
To an artist or an NYCer, New Yorker.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this whole bucket has like a theme with New York, because both Chich and I, we're transplants.
Mm-hmm.
We're both in the creator space. We're at the beginning of our journey. And that was one of the reasons I wanted to record this, because I was like, how cool would it be if we had something that we can look back on in 5 years?
I love that.
Like, how many podcasts have you done?
I've done 2 other podcasts.
There we go. Now imagine you're going to be on like your 20th and then your 40th. It'll be fun to look back.
It'll be like, this will be one of the first. Yeah. Speaking of imposter syndrome, I felt like an imposter back then.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know how we can tackle that different ways, because there's probably a lot of people, whether they're a creative or somebody that wants to do something crazy like move across the country or whatever. How do you manage it when you're feeling you have a dream and you want to step into it? How do you deal with imposter syndrome?
As someone who hasn't moved or after moving? Because I feel like that's two different things.
You personally.
Yeah, I feel like there is a before and after the move answer to this, but it's kind of similar. So before, I came from Michigan.
Okay.
And in Michigan, I did have a couple friends that were in the creative space. There was obviously like commercial studios that were paid to make advertisements for local businesses and stuff. But back then, the idea of doing YouTube or doing photography was just like weddings. And I didn't want to do just weddings. I did do them for a while, but I wanted more. And anytime that I would talk about doing social media, everybody that was in that wedding space, all my connections, they hated the idea
that
of
you're
people
crazy
doing social media.
Yeah. They just totally felt like it wasn't something that was real that you could actually do?
There wasn't a lot of potential for it. Yeah. So me being a person that wanted that, it just didn't have a lot of people around me that liked that idea in my family or my friends.
So that
So
probably fed into the imposter syndrome.
yeah, well, I thought I was this person, but anytime that I would act on it, it wasn't. Yeah,
Shot down.
yeah, shut down.
Yeah.
So the only option for me, ideally, was to move away from these people. So after moving to New York
Is
City,
that why you moved?
it was a big reason why. I always had my sights on a big city.
Yeah.
Could have been LA, could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
But New York City was the first place that I stepped into that immediately I could see myself living here. And I saw who I wanted to be here. And honestly, like the first year, I was just doing my best to make it happen and seem like the type of guy that would be here. Now I feel like I'm there,
Hmm.
but the entire journey to like this past year feeling like I'm finally like in the spot where I want to be and conquering most of the imposter syndrome is still there. But
Yeah, I don't think
um
it ever goes away fully.
yeah, I
So,
don't think so.
so I can see where it comes from. There's a lot of reasons for having it. What do you think has allowed you to, as you just said, become the person that it feels normal that you are here? How did that happen?
Mm, I think that I had to go through like a hardship here. And then like I was given the easiest way out. Like didn't have money, didn't have a job, could have left and just been done. But instead of just letting that happen and going back to Michigan and acting like nothing happened in the like nothing happened and just go back to regular life in Michigan, I fought for this and now I feel like I this is my place and I
Mm.
have I've battled my own insecurities and I've also battled the feeling of being an imposter here to feel like now I've earned this.
Bro, I relate to that so much.
There's still more to go, but like I do
Yeah.
feel like I'm on the journey to being like I am a New Yorker. I'm staying here. I'm building my life here. There's nothing that's stopping me.
I still feel imposter syndrome sometimes, and I know that I've learned so much in the 2 years now coming up that I've lived here. But one of the things, strangely, that has helped is this realization that, I mean, you could have been in Michigan and still had some struggles. Like, life isn't always easy. I could have stayed in Utah and things wouldn't be sunshine and rainbows all the time.
Right.
And for some reason, this helped my mindset of like, I would rather struggle for what I wanted,
Mm.
as in struggle for living in New York,
Yeah.
than anything else.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna struggle, I have this in my journal. A bad day in New York City, you're still in New York fucking City. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? And again, for anybody listening, that doesn't have to be New York City. That could have been Miami for somebody. It could be Bali for somebody else. But for like that's how I think about it. Is like, dude, uh, success is not guaranteed. The struggle, you're gonna have something. Life just has that. So might as well
Mhm.
be something that you want. So just to wrap, and then I'll fish in again. Again, I don't think I've fully, certainly haven't overcome any imposter syndrome. I had it so bad. Oh my gosh, such so many ways I've had imposter syndrome. It's been a big struggle for a lot of my adult life.
Can you recall like any specific experience that like maybe you were somebody somewhere and you just felt like the entire time you were acting like or putting up a facade just so then you would feel like you
Just so I
fit
fit in.
in.
Yeah. So probably first time going to Vid Summit,
Mm,
because I got to see Mr. Beast and Arak and these people that are doing it.
yeah.
But you know what? It's connected to YouTube, but it was even before then. I was like, where else did I feel it? And I don't know if it was more like me putting on the facade versus like I was more of a it was just like going to my hotel room and like feeling like a pile of dog shit. The first time I had that feeling was when I went to this random event in Iowa, years ago,
Wow.
and I saw Jake Paul
Oh
for the
gosh.
first time. And seeing Jake Paul, this was before Jake Paul became the boxer, Jake Paul.
Team 10, Jake Paul.
Yeah, it was Team 10 Jake Paul. And I got to talk to him and stuff like that after he spoke. Back then, it's so interesting. Back then, I felt like I was late to the game,
Mm.
and it was too late.
Mm.
I was like, here's this kid. I think he's at least 10 years younger than me.
Mm.
And seeing what he's made, and I'm like, and I just felt so behind. And so the imposter syndrome really fucked me up with just feeling like, I don't. I mean, we could do a whole episode on imposter syndrome, apparently, but just so we can get through a lot more of these,
Yeah.
the thing I'll wrap with and give props to you with as well is what has helped is learning this lesson that when you're playing your game, there is no imposter syndrome to be had.
Mm-hmm.
And New York kind of trains that in you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so fun when you really realize that this is a game with you,
Mm-hmm.
like life is a game with you. Then you want to like support people and stuff because they're not. This is a strange thing to say, but competition is. I'm starting to feel like it's not real in a way of like when you win, I don't lose in YouTube land. You know how
YouTube land. I love that.
It's just the truth.
I agree.
Like I see comedians that grow with each other and stuff like that, and we have crossover of interests, but you and I also have interests that are completely separate. And so what has helped me is just leaning more and more into things that I genuinely want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like when I realize I'm in competition with myself, I'm still afraid sometimes. I'll still wonder if I can accomplish a thing, but that's a different thing.
There's a question in there.
Okay,
There's
cool.
a question in there for that. But
all right, I'll fish the next thing. Okay, imposter syndrome is good. Okay. Finding your tribe and community. How do you find your tribe and your community? I like this one.
I think now it is a little difficult for people to just naturally strike up a conversation for just like somebody random in a cafe or on the street. The internet makes this easier. I mean, I did when I moved to New York City, finding the first few people, it was just an internet creator friend that was here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like I found my tribe until I moved to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, it was just going with him to a bunch of networking events and having him help talk about me and what I do. Because having somebody else kind of go like, hey, this guy does creator stuff, you should talk to him, is much easier than, hey, I do creator stuff, but you have to do that as well. I think that you have to just throw yourself at people sometimes. The way that I've made my best friends right now, and it wasn't the people that I talked to initially, but it's the people that they knew, is a guy, like just a random person sitting in a cafe doing something creative on their laptop, and then I go up to them and be like, hey, I see you're on Premiere Pro, Final Cut Pro. My name's Chich. I also do that stuff. I'm trying to meet more people. And then they go, oh, cool, let me get you on Instagram. And it could be as short as that. But then you walk away, you message them, hey, I'm trying to meet more people. Do you know anybody else? And then you can get invited to events with that. That person could be a friend. But it's really just, I think the start to finding your tribe is just throwing yourself at people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that answer because mine is way different.
Ooh, okay. I'm excited.
I've changed my views on this because I used to do a lot more, especially back when I was living in Utah and stuff like that. The way I find tribe now is relentlessly pursue things I give a fuck about. Like do the things that matter to me. Now, you could have an argument that this is harder to find your tribe in other places, but I still think it's the way you find it. So what I mean is like, I could give so many examples with just New York.
Yeah.
The fact that you and I are sitting here.
Yeah.
How do you and I know each other?
Through creative
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. Because I was interested in creative stuff.
Yeah.
Found a dude that was doing a creative meetup.
Mm-hmm.
and was pumped about that. I have friends that are into this, sober slash spiritual space. Uh, but how did I become friends with them? Because I go to a place called Othership that there's a lot of people that do that.
Hmm.
The, and you never know where a connection's going to lead. Something I've shared on the podcast before is how I'm even in this apartment.
Hmm.
How I'm in this apartment, and I think there's a prompt in there, so I won't go too deep, happened because I'm interested in a basketball.
Yeah.
How does that get to here? Because I'm into basketball. So I go play basketball and I meet this dude, Anthony.
Hmm.
And Anthony and I become friends, and he plays a pivotal role in me actually getting this place. Why is this such a big deal for me? Because I think, especially when you don't know anybody, it can feel very daunting to throw yourself at people, which you still do. But even what you did in that cafe to me is doing what I'm saying. That
I
was interesting.
I think that there's the same like connection there with just finding people. And I think there's an ecosystem to it as well. I think that there's people that are just throwing themselves at people and trying to make connections that way. And then there's people that are creating these groups, like similar to what I do with Creators NYC, where other people can come in and just meet everybody that
Yeah.
one person met.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, that's the whole reason why I started it, is because I wish I could have found something that like what I did.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is I want to make that for other people.
Yeah, make it
Yeah.
easier to make the
Yeah.
connections. Yeah.
Because it's not easy and it's embarrassing. More than half the times you walk away being like, oh man, I can't believe I said that. I'm so stupid. I should have just like minded my own business. But the times that it does work made it worth it. And
Totally.
also the fear of being alone in New York City made it worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
I did not want to be the lonely guy here. So I wanted to make sure that I knew people, built a network, so then I'd get jobs and also get to know people. I'm incredibly grateful for that. Like just being able to say I know people now.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's two things there then to wrap that up. Be bold, be courageous, put yourself out there. It sounds your side. And my side is, which feels paradoxical, is pursue your own thing. Pursue what actually matters to you.
Hmm.
And there's going to be other people that are also into that very thing that you're into, and that's where some of your best people are going to be. Okay, next.
It's a great way to wrap that up, by the way. Ooh, how has New York changed you? It's made me more the person I want to be. But how
I
has it
mean,
changed you?
I think I would say that because that's what made me, right when I left the religion and I was like, where do I want to live? I relate to what you said earlier about I knew I wanted to live in a city, which was a crazy thought from where I come from. Because where I come from, it's like, do you want to live on 10 acres or 40 or like how many horses do you want to have? How many cows
Wow.
and how big is your garden going to be? And so living in a city just was not on the radar. But the reason I picked New York was because of what you just said. I was like, what of all the places I've ever been, what scares me the most in a
Mm.
good way? And it was New York. And why did it scare me? Because of who you have to be to live here. I want to be that person. I want to be the person.
I wanted to have to be that person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. Like have all of the feedback loop and everything is like saying, "Oh, this is what you want. This is the kind of person you want to be." Well, it's not going to be easy, but it's like, "Well, yeah. I want to be the person that even though it wasn't easy,
Hmm.
was am able." And again, we're so early in the journey. I mean, I'll speak for myself. I'm just 2 years in, and there's still a lot of great experiences ahead. But that's what made me pick it. And how has it changed me, man? Here's the thing, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, especially being a creative. New York has surprised me in so many ways, but one of the ways it has is I just feel like I'm finding a return back to what I felt like as a kid.
Yes.
You feel that same way?
Yes.
Like,
It's only going to get stronger.
that's so, I don't, I wish I could explain that to people because I thought, how many years ago? 5 years ago, I felt old.
Mm.
I feel younger now.
I feel like I'm getting older, but I feel like I'm retaining the feelings that I had towards creativity way better than how I felt before. Because I
Yeah.
honestly, I think part of that is you you're surrounded by other people that are doing it,
Yeah.
so that helps. But also, you're kind of encouraged to do it.
Yeah. This is what you're encouraged to do in New York. You're encouraged to be who you are.
Yeah.
There's something, and what that's making me start to, I mean, this isn't a part of the prompt, but in a way it is. What I'm starting to feel like is that that thing that we call your inner child is really just deep authenticity.
Yeah.
And the reason we talk about it as your inner child is that's when you were that,
Hmm.
when you were a child, before you learned to be something that your mom or your church or your society told you to be. And in New York, I want to see who the fuck you are. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see you do you. And everybody wants that. They're like, who are you actually? And that has been one of the, I've said this to some of my friends here and back home. Like, in a way, this has been one of the greatest investments in my mental health because of that, of just getting to be in a space where you're free to be you.
Yeah. What makes New York different? Why is it New York that gives you that? I think it's I think it's because there's so many people here. So if you fail with one person,
You
and
got more
no,
options.
I don't want this to sound shallow, but like if you fail with one person with who you really are and they don't like that, you can find another person.
Right.
Yeah. That's part of it for me.
I'm just lingering on this thing because I know there's, how else has it changed me? Um, I don't think I did a prompt with friends, so I think I'm going to borrow this one. Having friends like you and some of my other friends in my inner circle, how it's changed me has, in a strange way, helped me learn to trust myself,
Hmm.
maybe for the first time. Because in my past, especially when I was stepping into authenticity, telling my everybody, literally everybody around me was like, this is not okay. But then having friends that see me for who I am and actually saying, no, this is why we hang out with you.
Oh my God. Yeah.
There's just something in that. And I know I shouldn't have, like, I want to get away from external validation as much as I can and get it internally. But it's just this reminder of, like, for me, that, like, that for me changed, like, that type of thing has helped me so much to just be okay. It's okay to be who you are. And you're going to find your people by being who you are.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's just a big deal from, especially that ties back to the self-doubt, imposter syndrome stuff, because I think I think for a lot of my adult life, I feel like I've been trying to make it. And I feel like it's been recently where I'm like, oh, however far I'm going to go, it's going to be by being me.
Yeah.
And that is so exciting to me.
That's so cool. I I mean with friends, the external validation, I think you need to hear it sometimes.
I mean, especially if it's like friends that care about you.
Yeah. I my only example and probably the most powerful one would be my roommate Jared. Jared Winslow, he's a photographer here in the city. We became roommates last year in January. And I feel like the first time that I have actually been on the track to recovering from so much self-doubt and like publishing content that I was just doing because I thought I should be doing it, not because I really, really wanted to be doing it. The recovery of that has been over this last year because anytime that I would talk to him about a video I was doing, we would talk about why.
Why you're
And
doing the video.
and me and him are really good friends, so we would get really deep on like, okay, I'm gonna make this video about bagels in the city. I'm gonna go to every bagel shop. Okay, cool. Why? Why would you do this? What is it gonna say about you, your channel? And like me and my partner have these conversations too. But with him, he is very intentional with every single video, what it says about what he understands, what he wants to teach people. And to me, seeing that and seeing people react positively to it and like be there to support him has made me trust myself more in making that content. And I feel like I'm getting back on track with like making content that I truly feel like this is
Mhm.
something that I would have made at 16 that I didn't make. Like I stopped making because my friends would be like, "Why the hell did you make a video talking about why you liked Michigan or why you
Mhm.
liked coffee?"
Yeah.
Because that was what I wanted to say. And yeah, I guess like I started trying to act like a YouTuber or more like
Mm.
what a YouTuber might have been
Yeah.
instead of just being what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
I feel like we've kind of gone from how's New York changed you to being creators and stuff like that, and like expressing
I
and how to
think
be genuine in your creation.
yeah, I think we went New York changed you and then we went, well, the people in New York helped change you
Yeah.
and then talking about those people that like the way that they helped.
Well, just to add to what you were just saying with your friend Jared, and I love that he was like, "Well, why are you making this?" Because to me, and that book, where's that book? Let's just show the book. That book has helped me so much. The Creative Act, Rick Rubin, such a good book.
I just started it. I'm like halfway through, but yeah, love it.
I would love to hear what your takeaway is just that much in, but one of the takeaways for me, and it ties to what sounds like conversations like with Jared help with, is what is creative? What's creation? What it really is an expression. Like what you're doing is you're expressing yourself.
Hmm.
And if it matters to you, Casey Neistat does this too. One of these lines that is such a throwaway line that hit me so hard when I heard it. And it wasn't even Casey Neistat. It's Casey Neistat's line, but I heard it from somebody that was working for Casey, and it still hit me. And the line was, interested is interesting. Meaning if you're interested in a thing, that's interesting.
It's
That
much
gave
more interesting to watch someone who's interested in what they're talking
That's
about.
why you
It could
do
be
it.
anything.
That's why you do it. Like I'm like, "Oh my god, yes." Like there's so much freedom in this once you really when like and I'm just at the very beginning of this as a creator, realizing, "Oh, I don't have to create because this is what the fucking algorithm wants or this is what anybody else wants. I want to do this. I mean, I still want to be a full-time creator, which means like I have to build enough that there's like genuine audience. But again, Rick Rubin talks about this. Like you have to do it from this place of it is for you.
Hmm.
And the paradox in that is if you do it for you, that happens to be usually the best thing to share.
Hmm.
How about you? What's one of the things you're
I
liking
think
about
that's
this so far?
such a huge breakthrough that people don't really consider a huge breakthrough. And it seems like a small thing, but discovering that you can trust yourself and your intuition on something you're interested in and make that video and then
Yeah,
also receive the feedback that you want from that,
yeah,
that is
it's
it's an
magic.
incredible, it's a freedom and it's a great release of creativity too. There's nothing more um, rewarding than seeing something like that do well
Yeah,
when you just trusted yourself.
I got to give a shout out to somebody on the pod because I just had my first ever. It's I don't know why it means so much to me, but it means so much to me. I just had my first ever YouTube tip where a fan tipped me $20
Ooh,
on a video. I don't know why that means so much to me. Not just because it's the $20 or the validation, but it ties into everything we're talking about because it's like I made something that I wanted to make,
hmm,
and it mattered to someone. Fuck yeah, more of that, please.
there you go.
Okay, I'll read one. What do we got here? What do we have here? Ooh, what was your family or friend's reaction when you told them your plans or decision that you are moving to New York City?
Do you want to start? Or
Sure,
do you want me to
sure.
start? Because I could.
Go for it. Go for it, actually. You start.
Little bit of preface. I have 5 siblings. I'm the middle child. So 2 older siblings, they're doing all their life stuff. 2 younger siblings in college doing their life stuff. I'm the middle sibling that decided that I wasn't going to go to college. So
Uh,
my parents were kind of like, as soon as they all the arguments about like you should just do it, and I was like, no, I have this other idea in mind. They just kind of like let go of me. They were like, okay, you go do your thing then, and like you'll come around. You'll see we were right. Not they never said that, but that was kind of the vibe that it felt like I felt was left with me. So had my own apartment, had my own jobs, paid my own rent. I had help now and then, but when it came time that I came to New York City, I realized I wanted to live here. I had already been living by myself as a complete independent for way like years. And so when it came time to move here, they went, "Wait, are you sure?" And I didn't have to ask permission. I didn't really even have to tell them. But
uh,
I told them, "Hey, I think I'm going to be moving here. I already got a job. I just need to find a place to live. All I want from you is how do you think I should get my stuff here?"
mm,
And that was kind of it. And they were just like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You got a job? Is it going to pay you?" And I was like, "Yes, I already figured all that out." So to them, it was just like, okay, well, I guess he's figuring it out. And actually, after moving to New York City, that was the first time that my parents were ever, and like, if they're listening to this, like, to me, this is how I felt. The first time that I was ever accepted in the creative career I wanted
mm.
to pursue. The first time that they saw
Why did that mean so much to you?
this could work. Um, I don't even know if it meant that much.
Mm.
I think that knowing that they can see that I'm working on something
Mm.
is really nice. But I was never really hung on their
Okay.
opinion.
Okay.
I love that they are here to support me now though.
Yeah.
And I have a better relationship than I have in like the last few years. Growing up I had a great relationship with them, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was a quiet period where it's
Yeah.
just like, okay, figure it out.
Yeah. For me, uh, I'm just thinking back. There wasn't a single person that thought it was a good idea.
Yeah, I can
It was a
imagine.
solo journey. Like,
I feel like your journey, I mean, I can only imagine you have these people that you've known your entire life, and it's just like this huge circle of friends and family, specifically family.
yeah, yeah.
um, and I bet I have a question for you on that.
Ask
Were they mad?
somewhere.
Like you've been here your entire life, and now you're gonna leave everybody.
Yeah, some people felt that I was abandoning.
Did you feel? Where do you stack up in the 40 siblings?
Uh, the fun line that I say, I'm saying this line, and it usually gets a laugh in my stand-up
I
that
actually
I'm
remember. You're 11.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I I'm the 11th the line that I'm using on my stand-up is like, here's a line you've never heard, you'll never hear it again. I'm the 11th child and I'm one of the older kids. I feel like a middle child because I feel like I'm also the age where there's like all the siblings above me are specific characters in the family.
Mhm.
Like Aaron, Leroy, Pamela, Clayne, Guy, Miranda, Michelle, Melanie, David, the kids. Like when it gets to me, I'm one of the kids. Like it gets grouped because there's so many.
Mm.
The parents kind of started to treat it started to probably even a little bit before I came around, but it started to feel like instead of individuals, it was just the kids. But back to the question, yeah, I think it didn't make sense to most people. I think I had some mean comments from family members and stuff like that where they're like, what are you doing? Are you dumb? Or what are you running away from? Yeah.
I was asked that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
And
What was your
that didn't
answer?
help with the doubt because I mean it's a risk because there's no guarantee. We didn't know how it was going to feel now.
Hmm.
I had no idea how it was going to feel now 2 years later. I was like going out on a limb of like I think this is what I need to do. What I want to do. What I'm being pulled to. I'm so glad I did. But at the time, it was just like, well, I already did the hardest decision of my life, leaving the religion. Didn't make anybody happy either. There was only there was nobody that thought that was a good idea. Like the people that I loved and respected most were like, "You're an idiot." So because I did that Band-Aid pull, I think that's what made it possible for me to say, "I got to do this." So
It was only after you left, like, the religion that you then
yeah,
moved.
yeah.
Mm.
It had been a few years.
I think that makes it easier to make a move like this because I had moved away, like I moved out of the house and I was kind of disconnected already. And then when I moved here, it just kind of felt like, okay, well,
I think it's a big conversation because I know I know darn good well there is somebody listening right now that is wanting to do something that they're afraid of some family member's opinion.
and it doesn't have to be moving
No,
to New
no, not at
York.
all. It could be anything.
This could be anything.
I'm gonna give okay. I'm not. I don't want to give advice, but I'm going to say what helped me because usually it's somebody that you care about
Hmm.
and that cares about you. Let's go with the possibility that it's somebody that cares about you. How do you do something that they disagree with? I think a lot of people fear regret, making somebody mad, regretting a decision. There's something worse than regret: resentment. When I thought about disappointing family, I thought of, well, what if I get to the point where I start resenting family because I'm feeling their pressure? And then as I get older, I'm like, oh, I don't, like, I went from trying to please you to I hate you because you're holding me back. And I could have been, should have been, was gonna be. And the thought of me getting to that point where I resented the people that I loved is what made me say I would rather make a decision that I can own and regret if it ends up being the quote unquote wrong one than the possibility of resenting and hating somebody I loved. And that actually helped me decide. It's like I'm going to do it and keep leaning in and yeah. And the more and more I'm doing it, even of course the regret's not there either. It's like the best decision I've ever made on so many levels, but yeah, that's what helped me rip the band-aid and take the leap.
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, I'm going to
That
ask you a
seems
question.
okay.
Ooh, this is a fun one. Most magic moment since moving to New York City.
Oh my gosh. There's so many, man.
I know. That's
You
immediately where I go.
Let's talk about today. I was on the train heading here and like I'm sitting like this. I have this book. I'm reading this book currently. So I'm sitting on the train and I have this book in my hand and I there's this guy standing right here, ass fucking right in my like in my face. His butt's right in my face.
While you're on the seat and he's standing.
Yeah, I'm sitting on the seat, he's standing, and like I'm like, man, if this train like bumps, like, and I'm leaning forward, so this is kind of my fault.
You're gonna have an ass
But
in your
like,
face.
I like, yeah, exactly. But like, if I look up, I see it, and I'm like, fuck, and I like lean back, and then I look up, and for people who know this YouTuber, it was Brett Conti.
No.
Yeah,
Brett's been on the show.
I know.
That's hilarious.
I told him I was on the way to Calvin Wayman's
No
podcast.
way.
So like he thought that was cool, and like I see him, he's looking the other way, and I'm like, Brett, and like he turns around, and he's like, Chich, and like,
Dude.
it was just like that. But it's moments like that. It happens all the time.
All the time.
You can't predict it, but like right there, there's somebody that maybe you've watched, like I've watched Brett before moving into the city. Like he's
Yeah.
been a part of like that vlog squad that like I always watched. So
Dude.
when anytime like I just randomly run into somebody that either like before moving to New York City or I respect now and just like having, I guess it's the opportunity to run into them because like now we're friends.
Yeah.
But like if that happened anywhere else in the world and I never lived in New York City, that would have been like, oh my God, that was the greatest moment of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, it's cool to run into people and also be able to be like, yeah, it's a friend.
Yeah. I heard this fun line that's like, uh, there's 8 million people that live in New York, right? So it's like one in a million, one in a million things, one in a million experiences happen 8 times a day in New York City.
Mhm. That's so
Something
cool.
like that.
That's so cool.
One in a million things happen. Those one in a million moments, experiences happen 8 times a day in New York City. Like there's always something big.
Whenever something happens like that, I'm like, there's like, what, 10 cars to that train? There's 3 trains running every 5 minutes. Like, him, and it doesn't even have to be Brett Conti. It could be like anybody that I recognize sitting or standing right there in front of you. It's unbelievable sometimes, but it's so cool that you get those moments.
Yeah. There's so many of those fun things. Just a side quest with Brett, because this was fun for me. Because when I just had left the religion, and I talked to Brett a little bit about this too, I think some people want to go after something big, and it feels completely unattainable. Like even where like we're at now, like if we were to rewind 3 to 5 years, that version of ourselves would have been like, "This is insane," right? And we're still like working in the day to day, but I think we have to pause and realize, no, we're making progress on stuff, right? But for people that might be there, it feels like it's unattainable. I remember when I decided to move to New York, I was like, I really believe in this whole idea of just leaning in, like whatever the thing you want, lean into it. You want to be a YouTuber? Lean into being a YouTuber. You want to live in New York? Lean into living in New York. Now, how do you do that? Because you got to have an apartment and everything. Like people get caught up there. Like they have to make a lot of money, and no, just lean in. One of the things I did to lean in is I started watching day in the life videos of people living in New York, and who was the top creator doing those videos at the time? Brett. Well, that's fun for me to now, like met him through the event that you or the meetup that you do and stuff like that. So yeah,
I met him through Creators NYC.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Something I've been leaning into. I don't know if I'm ever gonna make it a full thing, but I'm just being like, this is interesting to me. Is I want to be able to perform stand up, and so I do it once in a while. I'm doing it more and more, and I feel like whenever you make a decision on something and start doing it, crazy shit happens, especially in New York, where things just show up. And as I've been doing that, first of all, at the basketball court right out my window, maybe some people know this if they've watched other episodes, Adam Sandler shows up. And so for me, zooming out and realizing I'm a cult kid that used to live on a farm. We had a basketball court on the farm. Just looking at the whiplash of the two realities of I lived on a small farm and now I'm playing basketball with Adam Sandler. Wild. I've also bumped into Chris Rock several times.
Wow.
I think 3 times now, because he goes to the same coffee shop that I do in the mornings. I'll do another one because they're related. There's this YouTuber slash Instagram guy that does skits, and I'm like, I think I like watching his content because I want to do stuff like that. He does like Trump videos and Biden and stuff like that. His name's Austin.
You can take my ears, but you cannot take my liberty. They want to cut off my ears like the Taliban, but what they don't know is my ears can grow back like SpongeBob through budding, by the way.
I was living in Utah. He was living in Northern California. A random evening in Brooklyn, I go to this music festival that my friend invited me to, and I lost my friend in the club, and there was no service. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go get me some tacos. And so I go out and I stand in the food truck line, and I hear a voice that I recognize, and I turn around, and it's this guy, Austin. He and I had just started DMing each other on Instagram because I liked his comedic skits.
Yeah.
But the crazy part, if you look at all the things connected to like the different cars and everything, like that particular club in Brooklyn at 2 a.m. in the same taco line. And the crazy part, here's the craziest part. He had just moved to New York a week prior on the same day I moved here. Isn't that insane? New York City is full of what I now just refer to as, oh, that's New York City magic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want to ever get used to it as like it's just normal, but it kind of is normal. And the more that you are just in your flow, these random cool shit, I don't know what to call it, just happen. It's like, I don't know. There's something genuinely special about it. Anyway.
Has he helped you get closer to doing stand-up?
Not directly. But again, the way I view things like this is like, they're like little clues. As I'm leaning into comedy, comedians are showing up in the comedic space in a way. And to me, it's only like if I don't want to make major predictions, but here's one I think I want to make out loud. The more you and I lean into YouTube, the closer we get to YouTubers, like the ones that are fucking 5 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
The more I lean into things that are interesting to me, let's, for the sake of this conversation, is comedy. I don't just bump into a comedian. I become friends with, like, because that's just how this works.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Did I read the last one?
That's it. Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
This one, I wrote this one for you.
Oh, what does it say?
Yeah. How have you used fear or fought fear as a tool for growth?
What a great question. I want to know how you even knew to ask that question. That is such a good question because a lot of people wouldn't put that first part on, like the how do you use it for growth?
Yeah.
Or
fight it.
Yeah. I think there's a few ways I'm going to answer it. I'm going to use it in the positive sense because way back, because even though it's been only a few years since I've moved to New York, I have been on this journey of me in a game with myself with fear for coming on 10 years. And it really started when I quit my day job cold turkey to be a freelancer, work for myself. And the reason I did that when I didn't have a safety net, and the reason I moved to New York, the reason I'm doing content is not because the fear isn't there. It's there, big time. But one strange tool that has helped me is...
There's going to be a part 2 to this episode. Please like and subscribe to catch it.
Thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, comment. What was your favorite prompt? What was the prompt that you would want us to ask? Like, more than might. I'm going to be reading the comments. Chich might be reading the comments. What's a question? Maybe you're a creator. Maybe you're a YouTuber. Maybe you're going through something. We were going somewhere, didn't quite answer it. What's a question you have? Feel free to drop them in the comments below. And if you like and subscribe, then I'll just be super grateful. It helps the algorithm know that people should see more of this stuff. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace.
Is a fundamentalist Mormon having 5 parents and 44 brothers and sisters.
Oh yeah, I have 44 siblings. Minor detail.
I'll be spending a day with Calvin, an ex-cult member.
Calvin is on a show.
The thing I love about the show is just even in the name, culture, emphasis on the word cult.
I have friends who grew up in like real cults. We had somebody on the show who has 44 siblings and 4 moms because he grew up in a polygamist compound. When I look at that, I'm like, okay, that's a cult.
And it's not just going to be heavy all the time.
So his dad was Nick Cannon. Is that what you're saying? Nick Cannon was his dad? Is that what you're saying right there?
You had more siblings than there were presidents for a while. Holy shit. You're right.
We're going to have a bunch of guests on the show. I'm into creativity, comedy, entertainment. I want this podcast to be the creative expression for my story and for my perspectives on life.
Oh my God!